Hi, this is Andrea Coleman, and my literature review is on the effectiveness of technology in EFL student achievement. This is a systematic review of empirical evidence associated with the effectiveness of technology on English language learners' academic achievement and was conducted in order to discover what types of technological devices are being used in English as a foreign language, which is EFL, or English as a second language, or ESL, education, and gain a greater understanding of the value of these devices in increasing EFL, ESL academic achievement. The search yielded 6 results that reported on the use of technological devices to strengthen various EFL, ESL related skills, such as oral proficiency, vocabulary mastery, retention rates, content learning, teacher perceptions of effectiveness, reading comprehension, and grammar usage. Participants from the 6 studies were comprised of between 19 and 96 EFL, ESL university students enrolled in various programs in Asia, Europe, and the United States. Results from the studies were generally positive and show that the use of ebooks or tablets, web-based programs, applications, and mobile technology were effective means for increasing academic achievements. The purpose of the literature review was to determine what type of technological devices were being used in EFL, ESL education, and also to gain an understanding of the effectiveness of these devices in increasing academic achievements. Answering these questions will inform educators and school officials of evidence-based practices pertaining to the use of technology in EFL, ESL instruction, as well as add to the existing literature and identify any gaps in research. The search strategy for this lit review was conducted to identify empirical studies that utilize technological devices to increase academic achievement in ESL or EFL students. It was limited to English language, peer-reviewed, full-text journals that were published within the last 5 years, so since 2011. I searched 2 different databases, ERIC and Google Scholar, and if you look at the table, you can see that I used 3 different search terms for ERIC and then 2 different ones for Google Scholar, and I got a reasonable amount of results with ERIC and then a large number with Google Scholar. Luckily, with Google Scholar, I found a few of the articles within the first few pages, so I didn't have to go and look through a ton of pages to find my studies for the review. The inclusion criteria for this study were, the first one was technology, and technology referred to any app, which is application, tablet, software, or web-based program that was specifically used for the purpose of increasing language-related student achievement. It also had to include EFL or ESL students as participants, and student academic achievement was defined as any language-related accomplishment. So as I mentioned earlier, that included oral proficiency, vocabulary mastery, retention rates, content learning, teacher perceptions of effectiveness, reading comprehension, or grammar usage. The first 2 studies in the lit review focused on ebooks or tablet PCs. The first study was 40 pre-service EFL teachers in a Turkish university. It surveyed perceptions of the teachers on tablet PCs in teaching components of English before and after student use. In order to measure this, they used a pre and post survey, and the results showed that tablet PC use in EFL increased in participants, which suggests that experience with technology is a key factor in perception. The next study consisted of 89 management and engineering students at a university in Taiwan. It was an experimental study that examines the effectiveness of ebook reading on EFL students' English reading attitude, comprehension, and vocabulary. They also used pre and post tests. Post-test results showed that participants' reading attitude and vocabulary increased, which indicated that using ebooks extensively stimulated these areas. The next 2 studies focused on web-based programs or applications. And the first study in this section consisted of 96 randomly selected EFL curriculum and instruction students in Saudi Arabia. It was also an experimental study and focused on the effectiveness of enhancing EFL content learning through YouTube. They used pre and post achievement tests. And in these tests, the mean post-test results of the experimental group were higher than the control group, which indicates a positive impact of YouTube on content learning. The next study used convenience sampling to select 19 ESL undergraduate students at a Midwestern American university. It was a single subject study, and it used an application called Grammar Clinic to test if ESL learners' self-editing, grammatical precision in paper writing increased with the use of this application. Here they used pre and post grammar quizzes. They also used data from the application, and then they used the track changes function of Microsoft Word. In order to measure whether this app was effective or not, they had students write, and they looked at the final drafts of papers 1 and 4. Overall changes and error rates decreased in these papers. The grammar pre and post tests revealed a small improvement, but overall results indicated a positive effect of the application on writing performance in EFL or ESL students. The last section I looked at was studies that focused on mobile technology. And in the first study, in this section, 80 students studying English, literature, and translation at a university in Tehran participated in an experimental study, and this one looked at whether using flashcards or mobile learning, like using your cell phone, was more effective in learning vocabulary. It used a multiple choice test, and the mean test results showed that the experimental group scored higher than the control group. This suggested that M-learning is more effective than flashcards for learning new vocabulary among these students. The last study used cluster sampling, and they selected 40 students in an English 1 course in Turkey. It was an experimental study, and it examined text messaging versus paper-based exercises in order to learn vocabulary. They measured the effectiveness of SMS exercises by using a pre and post vocabulary test. In the results and the conclusions, the mean post-test results showed that the experimental group scored higher versus the control group. This indicated that students using SMS-based exercises improved more in vocabulary comprehension than those using paper-based. The purpose of the review, as I stated earlier, was to inform EFL or ESL educators of the type of technological devices being used to enhance EFL, ESL learning, and also to provide an understanding of the effectiveness of these devices. The results of the studies stipulate that 1, technology is being used by EFL, ESL educators in the form of M-learning, web-based programs or applications, and ebooks and tablet PCs. Number 2, technology can be used by EFL or ESL students to effectively increase academic achievement related to vocabulary acquisition, comprehension, use of grammar, and content learning. Implications for practice. So educators should incorporate the use of M-learning into their lesson plans instead of utilizing paper-based methods or flashcards for vocabulary instruction. They should also integrate sites like YouTube, grammar editing applications into the curriculum. There's also a ton of other sites that would probably be just as effective if you did a little more research. This is a viable option for educators wishing to emphasize general content learning or sharpen EFL or ESL students' grammar and writing skills. They also should supplement instruction with extensive ebook reading instead of using textbooks. This not only helps EFL or ESL students with reading comprehension, but has been shown to have positive effects on vocabulary as well. Limitations. In my lit review, there were issues with generalizability. So number 1, all but one study in the lit review focused on studies that included EFL or ESL students that were at foreign universities. The applicability of the literature review is therefore primarily limited to foreign university, EFL or ESL students and settings. Number 2, the search results in the review resulted in studies that focused on specific types of technology. It wasn't just general studies on technology. Therefore, unless the specific type of technology was included in this review, results cannot be generalized to other examples of technology. So we can't say that using your cell phone versus a tablet is better, or we can't say that using a laptop would be a good tool for EFL or ESL students, because that's not included in the study. Suggestions for future research. More research should be conducted at the elementary or secondary levels. This suggestion is a result of the fact that the search results carried out in this review yielded a majority of studies being conducted at the university level. I didn't find many studies conducted at the elementary or secondary level. So with the growing number of elementary and secondary students and teachers in this area, this is a necessary area of educational research. Hope you learned a lot from my lit review and it can help you in your own teaching. Thank you. Bye.